Okay, so this lesson is going to be on Unit 3, Lesson 12, and we're only doing Activity 1 in this one. For the entire lesson, we're going to be determining whether solving a word problem requires multiplication or division. And so, yes, you need to write this in your notes. Make sure you have your lesson title. This is the focus, or the title is Distinguish Multiplication from Division. Our objective is to determine whether solving a word problem requires multiplication or division, and we're going to focus right now, tonight, on Activity 1. I'm going to give you some different situations where you're distinguishing between division and multiplication. But here are some word problems that require either multiplication or division. If you don't want to write down the word problems, you can find these on page 97. And these are 3, 4, 5, and 6. I did 4 of them that we're going to do together today. Okay. A lot of it is in the reading of what it's asking us to do. Decide whether you need to multiply or divide, then solve. And we're going to start off with Tawana has 3 pounds of nuts. She's using them to fill small bags with 1/4 pound each. How many bags can she fill? So what she's asking is how many quarter-pound bags can she get out of 3 pounds of nuts? Listening to that vocabulary, how many quarter-pound bags can she get out of her 3 pounds of nuts? Is that going to be multiplication or division? You said divide. You are correct. So you're going to divide. Ultimately, you're dividing. Divide. And what you're dividing is 3 bags divided by 1/4 equals 12. Or 12 bags. Some of you are thinking of the formula that we've been doing, because ultimately this division problem, we do somewhat to figure it out, multiplying. But what we're doing is we're dividing 1/4 into those 3 bags. How many 1/4s fit into those 3 bags? Roberto has a recipe that calls for 4 cups of flour. He wants to use only half of the recipe today. How much of the flour will he need? I inserted a word there. Roberto has a recipe that calls for 4 cups of flour. He wants to only use half of the recipe. How much flour will he need? Is this multiplying or dividing with fractions? The key word that you needed to hear to help you out here was half of the recipe. So he's going to be multiplying, and it's half of 4, which equals how much? 2 cups. We know that just from common sense, right? Half of 4 is 2. But half of the recipe. I know you hated me at the beginning, and back in lesson 1 or 2, where I kept saying of. But you thank me now, don't you? I know you do. A picnic jug holds 1 gallon of lemonade. Each paper cup holds 1/12 gallon. How many paper cups can be filled? So, am I multiplying or dividing to figure out how many 1/12ths are in 1? Divide! Yay! We're getting it. We are dividing on this one because we want to know there's 1 gallon, and I want to know how many 12ths fit in there. Well, how many 12ths fit into there? Yeah, these are not super hard because we wanted you to be able, the overall picture here is distinguishing between multiplying and dividing. So they gave you some pretty simple numbers to manipulate. All right, let's try one more. It rained on 2/5 of all the days last month. On 1/6 of these rainy days, there were thunderstorms. On what fraction of the days last month were there thunderstorms? It rained 2/5 of all the days last month. On 1/6 of them, there were thunderstorms. On what fraction of the days last month were thunderstorms? Are we multiplying or dividing? I heard you. Multiply. Good job. Why? Well, we want to know 1/6 of 2/5 tells us what fraction of those days of the months were rainy. And we know it says 3/30 or 1. Shouldn't it be 1/10? Oh, I'm sorry. Mrs. Crane can't multiply. I missed something there. So it should be 1/6 of 2/5 equals 2/30, which equals 1/15 of the days were thunderstorms. So it's really critical that you read these problems and look for those ofs, look for those scenarios, draw a picture if you need to figure out what's happening. But if you're reading with that critical eye of looking for those keywords that we know, it's easy to figure out multiplying or dividing.